Welcome back to the nursing home. Cranksters, it's the old cranky gamer, and we're here. We're going to do, just like the title says, we're going to talk about black ball players. We're going to talk about the All-Star game, and we are going to just go into the World Series. Hooray! First, I want to do a disclaimer. My last episode, I said something about like Tom Conley, the umpire, where Joe McGinnity spit in his face. And said that, Tom Conley, I kind of implied that Tom Conley, wasn't such a great umpire. I got him confused with Silks Laughlin. I thought I might have done some error on that judgment, and I went and looked back at some of the books that I had. Yeah, and Tom Conley, he was a guy that was methodical, and he was not colorful at all. He was one of those guys that said no one paid a ticket to see an umpire. He was also not a previous ball player, which some of the other more boisterous ones were. Silk McLaughlin was an umpire who was the guy that liked to bark. So every time you hear the umpires are strike one, that's Silk McLaughlin, because he said, "Oh, an umpire should be heard," and he'd be the first one to eject somebody. Tom Conley was not one to eject a lot of people. In fact, he was kind of calm, and even Ty Cobb, who was very rowdy in his younger days, said that you can only push Tom Conley so hard, and then when his neck gets red, you've gone too far, and then you stop, or else you're gonna get ejected, and you're probably gonna get suspended. A great story about Tom Conley, the umpire, the very first umpire for the American League. He used to work alone from 1901 to 1907. He would work games alone, which means that players got away with some things, tripping players. You couldn't really see who was safe. Players leaving early on fly balls, which you couldn't. You got to catch the ball, and then you could tag up. Cutting second, it would cut inside second. All this stuff that you go, oh my God, you could never do that now. Yeah, you couldn't, not with all the cameras and everything. But anyways, so he would work alone until they built up their umpire corps in the American League. Well, one of his stories was Eddie Plank, who was a rookie now, and who made the All-Star, by the way. If you look at the screen, he made the All-Star. Because all the All-Stars here, you need one. I chose the option where you need one player from each team. Every team needs to be represented. A lot of New Age fans will sit there and go, "That's not right because someone should deserve it." They're a bunch of knobbly knuckles. So, yeah, I don't listen to New Age baseball fans because they spend more time talking about some new made up stat that has a bunch of arbitrary numbers that really you can't pinpoint anything. Like WAR, there's three ways. There used to be three ways to calculate WAR, and the whole thing was if Babe Ruth's on top, then it's a good calculation. That's not how it goes. But there are some good stats, new age stats that go out there, but when the game becomes way too many stats and not enough watching and scouting, then it's not a game anymore. It's it's something else entirely. It's worried more about modding the game of baseball than it is about playing the game of baseball. And some people like to do that. Some people are modders. Some people just like to play the game. Anyways, so with Eddie Plank, and when he made his debut, he was getting heckled by the opposing dugout. He wasn't towing the mound properly. So Conley went out there, and he was like, son, there are right ways and wrong ways to pitch in this league. So he's good. I'll show you the right way. And so he's a very accommodating guy. And he goes, and I'll take care of the wrecking crew in the dugout. And, don't worry about it. What you're showing me and how you're pitching, you'll be here a long time. Of course, Eddie Plank was one of the longest was probably one of the longest. Well, actually, he is dead ball era pitcher because he lasted until 1919, I believe. Eddie Plank did. So 1901 is when he started. 1919 is when he ended. So Eddie Plank is the pitcher of this dead ball era. Most of it with Philadelphia. I think all of it with Philadelphia. Anyway, so that's Tom Conley. Anyways, so now let's talk about the All-Star game. The computer, in my mind, picked everybody kind of right. Of course, it goes by modern day analysis. So WAR, there we go. ISO, slugging, OPS is what it chooses from. But back in this day, batting average was something that was important. Runs were hard to come by. The more you hit, the better you were. And defense was very, very important, especially when it came to catchers. And those are the two things that I did make changes for both squads. One, I upped it up to 20 players on each team instead of 18, which was the amount of players you could have on your team at one time. Remember, it changed from 18 and went up to 22, and then it became 25, and now it's 25, and you have a 40-man roster. So you have players in the minor leagues that are able to be called up in case somebody gets hurt. Now, what I did there is I upped it to 20, and for the American League, all I did was pick Billy Sullivan Sr. Billy Sullivan Sr. led in most defensive categories. I mean, his fielding stats are head and shoulders. He only had 13 pass balls, which was very low for this age. He had 50 caught stealing, which is freaking amazing. 9 double plays. He only had 8 errors, and he had 88 assists with a 980 percentage. I'm sorry. He gets into the All-Star game because he is the best catcher in the league, in the American League. Same thing goes for Bill Bergen. I did Bill Bergen. Bill Bergen, as you can see, he only hit 211. But maybe when he hits under 200, which he should after this year, should be hitting about 169, 170. He won't make the All-Star game. But for now, especially when better catchers come into the play, there's going to be some new catchers coming into the league. Rogers Breslin's going to come over from the American League. And, Bill Bergen might not be an all-star anymore. But right now, 8 errors, 8 double plays. He had a 57.4 caught stealing percentage and only 8 pass balls and 981 percentage. So, yeah, he's head and shoulders above anybody here. I have Bill Lang here. Wait a minute. Do I have to take Bill Lang off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. No, I have 20. I have 20 players. Oh, I took Burkett off. So Jesse Burkett, the guy that in real life got the batting title, I took him off because we had Bobby Wallace. He is with St. Louis. And we have Jack Powell. He is with St. Louis. So St. Louis already has somebody. So now you have the fact that Ginger Beaumont, if we look at batting average qualifier, Ginger Beaumont is one of the guys, and of course Jesse Burkett and Elmer Flick. So we got all those players that did a hell of a job this year that get kicked off because Billy Hamilton has to go on. He did lead with 85 walks, but anything else, I mean, he wasn't really that great. But Boston needs to be represented. So Billy Hamilton makes it, and out of all those 3 players, that would have been something where I had to pick who would do it, Flick or Burkett or Ginger Beaumont. I would probably give it to Ginger Beaumont because as a center fielder, he had 22 assists. He had a hell of a lot of total chances and putouts. So Ginger Beaumont, probably the best fielding center fielder this year in the National League. Bill Lang, I had to put Bill Lang in there. Bill Lang just what a job. Came in only started 108 games, but he hit 343. He stole 47 bases to lead the league with Elmer Flick. If he came in sooner, he would have dominated. 29 doubles, 9 triples, 6 home runs. So yeah, he's definitely more walks than strikeouts. Yeah, Bill Lang's going to make it. All right, so then we finish. Yay, All-Star. Enjoy the game. I will enjoy the game. Now, what we're going to talk about are the black ball players of the 19th century. Now, most people know of black ball players from the Negro Leagues. Pop Lloyd, he's one that comes up all the time. Cristobal Toriante, Oscar Charleston. Satchel Paige, of course, Smokey Joe Williams, all great players. And that's when the Negro Leagues became solidified in the 20s. But before then, there were they were playing along white guys in the 1800s until Cap Anson, who was the true racist, along with other people that supported Cap Anson. And there were plenty of people who opposed him. You know, there's plenty of white people that opposed the segregation of baseball. So let's just make that clear. Even if it was the 19th century and people go, what? Everybody was racist then. No, never. Because we had a civil war for a reason. Now, it was Cap Anson who was the pop of baseball during that time. And there was two players that were playing, and they were called the Walker Brothers. And you can see right here, they're older. So Fleet Walker, many people might remember him. And we had his brother, Wellday Walker. So, yeah, they were in there, and they finally got kicked out because he said he wasn't playing with those, derogatory terms on the field. Now, the reason we know, I have all these players from the 19th century. I have some older players, and they're all in the Western Association, or will be. There's a couple of people that for some reason did not import, like Rube Foster. Rube Foster is the guy who created the Negro Leagues. He created the formation of those clubs. So, and yet he didn't import. So I'm wondering maybe imports later, which I'm gonna have to check. But for right now, he's on there. And the reason we know most of these players is because of a great man called Sal White. His real name was actually King Solomon. And King Solomon wrote this book. Only 5 are in existence. He was the captain of the Philadelphia Giants. He created sort of like a Cuban. There was the Cuban ex-Giants that he helped, and he helped create the Philadelphia Giants. And of course, there were white people there to help as well to create these teams and these leagues and to back it. But people like Saul White and Bud Fowler, and of course Rube Foster are the ones that got it going and recruited the appropriate number of players. And usually they did face off against Cuba in the early 1900s. This book right here is the reason we know about all these players. It's the reason we have pictures of all these players. So thank you, King Solomon Sal White, because that was a wonderful book. And this guy was a very intellectual guy, a very good captain. And in fact, he would write for a newspaper, and he lived to be 87 years old. He had a lot of hardship. He lost a couple of children. His third child, Marion, outlived him, so that was good. But his marriage, of course, dissolved in the 30s, probably because he lost his children so young. That's kind of be hard. And as you can see, Sal White, I mean, you put glasses on him, he looks like he's a professor. So, and he just looks like a sports journalist type of guy. Well, Sal White played with some really good guys. And now, before I go into that, what did I want to talk about Sal White? Oh, Sal White died. He was 87 years old. He died at 87. So he got to see Jackie Robinson play Major League Baseball. So that is the greatest thing that could happen to him. He got to see Jackie Robinson break that color barrier, which in this league, there's going to be no Woodrow Wilson as president. And Calvin Coolidge is going to get his way, and we're going to desegregate baseball. We might do it well beforehand. Frank, see, now the thing is, Woodrow Wilson was an ardent racist, Princeton professor, and Teddy Roosevelt before him wasn't exactly very kind to desegregation as well, even though Teddy gets a lot of credit and supposed to be a great president. The guy before him, McKinley, that got assassinated, was actually more, all right, we're going to end this now. Everyone has to live in harmony. Teddy Roosevelt wasn't so keen on that. So, and then, of course, Woodrow Wilson was just adamantly against it. Now, why do I bring up Teddy Roosevelt? Because Teddy Roosevelt went there and he came into the Bull Moose Party, and that's one of the reasons Woodrow Wilson was elected president. So we just went backwards in race relations in this country way back then when we were making some headway, which, hey, more things more things change, the more they stay the same, huh? Anyways, so he played Rube Foster, of course, and Rube Foster. I had something here. Hold on. Where's my Rube Foster stuff? Okay, I got Rube Foster. Rube Foster. This guy. This is during the older time. He was much thinner when he was younger, of course. Rube Foster. He's the guy that created the Negro Leagues, and his real name's Andrew. And he started way back here, and he was a part of like the Chicago Union Giants. Had a bunch of players. Home Run Grant Johnson. They faced off against white teams. And of course, the white teams, tried to play with them in order to say, hey, listen, we're playing with them. When is segregation going to end? And because most of the white players during that time didn't believe in segregation either. And so Rube Foster was, along with Saul White, one of the guys that could create the Negro Leagues. And he also got into a partnership with Chicago White Sox owner Charles Comiskey, who gets a bad rap for being a cheapskate, which he was. But his son-in-law, Josh Shoring, went into business with Rube Foster in order to create a new the Chicago American Giants, because Southside Park, where Chicago's playing now, they moved out. Comiskey Park was built, and so that's why they let them in. So during the 1915s and everything, where Pop Lloyd and all these guys started coming around before the Negro Leagues were really formed, this is where it all started. It started like on the down low with a bunch of people associated with Major League Baseball, but they couldn't tag it because during that time, all that kind of stuff would be pointed back at them, and it'd be a PR disaster. They thought it probably wouldn't have been, but when it comes to money, people aren't gonna sacrifice their ability to make money for putting their neck out there, unfortunately. So, what I was saying before, sorry, Cap Anson, the biggest racist, along with some of him. Ty Cobb gets that label that he's the ardent racist. Did he have fights with black people? Yeah, he had fights. He had 3 times more fights with white people. He fought a lot of people. But the thing is with the Detroit Stars, the Negro League team in the 20s, Ty Cobb would sit there on the bench and talk baseball with all the players. Ty Cobb in the 20s, he had a hunting ground in Georgia, like this acreage of land with a cabin. There was a black man that he knew from his neighborhood that he let live there rent free, just for taking care of the grounds. Very little things, very little to do, but it was more to protect my lands, make sure there's no trespassers, no matter who they are, and so he did that. His father, Ty Cobb's father, who he adored and was killed when he was 18, so that was a mental breakdown there. Was one of the people in Georgia. I think he was an attorney or an assistant attorney general that was trying to fight all these horrible laws, the Jim Crow laws down there in Georgia. So he was very much for civil rights as well. His father was. And then Ty Cobb, of course, when he died, most of his money went to the black neighborhoods in his where he grew up. A hospital, a scholarship, all those types of things. So when somebody says Ty Cobb the racist, no, it's absolutely incorrect. There were racists during that time, like Eddie Collins, who is considered the best second baseman of all time. That guy was a racist. A couple of the Yankee pitchers in the 1920s, one of them being Herb Pennock. I think it's Pennock, who became the GM of the Phillies in the 50s, who had a Ben Chapman as his manager, a very ardent racist that attacked Jackie Robinson. He was racist. So there was a lot of races. Tris Speaker was part of the KKK, for crying out loud. And I've seen people, because they like Tris Speaker and they want to say Tris Speaker wasn't like Ty Cobb. Oh, well, the KKK was moderate during that time. It was becoming mainstream. Get the hell out of here with that bullshit. Anyways, that's my rant. Sorry, that's my rant. So Rube Foster was the hard work. Saul White was the brains behind formation of a Black League, and then of course we had the talent. Now the talent here, we have Home Run Johnson. Here's Home Run Johnson right here, and he was called Home Run Johnson because in the 1890s, once they started getting a little bit like the Cuban Giants, the original Cuban Giants, they later named Cuban X Giants, which was, so you had the original and then you had the Cuban X Giants. And I don't know why they named them Giants. I always try to find out that information. I don't know why they were all called Giants. But anyways, he hit 60 home runs like in 1 year. So that's why he was one of the few people here during the dead ball era that was called home run that actually deserved that moniker. There's a couple of people we will see here, like Home Run Marshall, that plays for the Pirates. And he hit like maybe 6 home runs in a year. Oh, look at Home Run Johnson, yeah, or Home Run Marshall. Yeah, and then he did nothing in the majors. Anyways, this guy was the real deal. He really didn't strike out. He hustled all the time. He never argued. But in fact, I think he said, when I do strike out, I surprise myself. So, and yeah, he would just, and sometimes he would pitch because they had to do a lot of double duty back then. So he was a very good ball player. But again, what I don't share with modern day baseball fans, and I use fans in quotations, what I don't agree with them is that these guys were like better than all the players that were white, because they'll say something like that. A Home Run Johnson was not better than Honest Wagner or Nat Lajoie or any of that. He played against 2 or 3 teams, and a lot of those teams weren't heavily stacked. You had guys like Home Run Johnson, and then you had like a whole bunch of Yanigans that couldn't play baseball at all, really. So it's kind of a toss-up. There are some players that would have been very, very good Major League ball players. Pop Lloyd is one. Oscar Charleston is another. He would have been a very good ball player. Satchel Paige showed he was a good ball player. He would have been phenomenal in his earlier days. Smokey Joe Williams would have been. So you have maybe about 10 guys that would have been good ball players, and out of them, maybe 5 would have been absolutely fabulous ball players. But everybody else, probably not. Probably not. They probably would have been average, mediocre. They could have probably had a 10-year career, just like most ball players, but they wouldn't have been anything phenomenal. It's just because they weren't really facing high-tier competition at the time, just because the black population was so low at this time. It really swelled in the 30s because that's when a lot of black people during Calvin Coolidge's term came up north. Towards the end of his term, they started coming up north, and then of course the Great Depression hit, and more people followed to get out of the South, which was a lot of manufacturing and such, where it was slumping. But most of them came up. Most black people from the South came up during the 20s, and they came into more lenient. I'm not going to say it was absolutely fabulous, but more lenient ideologies and outlook on race relations up north. So, and so when they did that, of course, what's going to happen is you're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a lot of kids. That's how it's always been for any race, any religion, any culture. And I'm safe. Oh, look, I'm safer now, and I'm kind of stable. And okay, I like this. All right, so let me have kids so I can work my butt off and give them a better life than I had. And that's what happened with the black population in America. Okay, so Home Run Johnson was one of them. And we had Sal White. We also had Bill Monroe. Monroe, I'm going to have to look up because I don't have any pictures of Bill Monroe. Bill Monroe, and he's playing for Dayton. He didn't play this year. He's still young, so he's still developing. But Bill Monroe, when he died, he was called by John McGraw, saying he was one of the greatest infielders he ever saw, just because he was fast. And you can see, where's his speed? Look at his speed, 12. His speed is above 10. It's usually scaled 1 to 10. His speed is 12. He was one of the fastest guys there. Not as fast as Pop Lloyd, but he was pretty damn fast. So he can get to a lot of balls in the infield. And John McGraw said, I couldn't use him on account of his color. And that was a shame. Another guy is Grant, who is called, we have two Grants. So let's talk about both Grants. The first Grant is a guy in the beginning of the season. John McGraw tried to get on his team, and that's why he has the nickname Tokuhama, because he was a very light-skinned black man, and he was a very good ball player and a very good fielder. And John McGraw tried to break the color barrier because he was one of these guys that was very against Cap Anson. Now, why this didn't happen when Cap Anson was still alive for a long time, and then Landis took over as the commissioner after the Black Sox scandal, and he was very against. He would blame the owners, but it was partially on him too, because as the overall commissioner who had all the power, he could have just said, "Nope, we're desegregated. We're doing this." Now, there's probably political things into play, especially with people like Wilson, and then of course FDR that came aboard. And don't let anybody tell you that FDR was like some saintly guy that loved everybody, because he didn't. Because he made a deal with the South that said, "Oh yeah, I won't make lynching a federal crime if you get votes for me." So yeah, so one of the great heroes of the Democrat Party, but. No, anyways, politics aside. Anyways, so Charlie Grant, it was found out, and of course it got some of Cap Anson's friends, and he couldn't have him. But that's what Charlie Grant is. So Charlie Grant's probably a mediocre player. He has 2 stars. He's not the greatest ball player, but he was very calm. He was a very calm, low-key type of guy, very humble type of guy. And that's why John McGraw wanted to use him, sort of like Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson wasn't the greatest talent in the world, but Jackie Robinson was one of those guys that was very strong, but very reserved. And that's what everybody thought that you needed during that time. Like Satchel Paige was very colorful, very vibrant, great personality, very funny guy. But at that time, it was like, is that the best person? And he was brought up, Satchel Paige was brought up to break the color barrier. But and to end segregation, but people always like, he's too old, and he really is. He's just a very colorful guy, and that might rub people the wrong way. I don't know. It's one of those human emotional things. Usually, you gotta do it with your actions. You gotta be very reserved, and so it killed Jackie Robinson in the end, unfortunately. But he paved the way for a lot of good things that came into America. So. God bless Jackie Robinson. And I'm kind of bummed that when I do this, I'm kind of diminish Jackie Robinson's legend somewhat. But Jackie Robinson is probably just going to be another player if he doesn't pan out. That's all right. Anyways, Frank, the colored Dunlap Grant, and now this was something common that they did all the time. There was other players that they called, like Pop Lloyd was called the colored Wagner. The Black Wagner, that type of thing. And most people today, looking through the rose-colored glasses, will say, that's so demeaning. Well, you can't look at things backwards. You have to look at them in the context of the time. And this was to tell people, mostly white audience, that, hey, this guy's just as good as this ball player, Fred Dunlap. And Dunlap was known in the 19th century as the best fielding second baseman of his time. And like I said before, Dunlap was considered the best second baseman, although Ben McPhee, again, all the stats say Ben McPhee was, but Dunlap was considered one of the great players. So, of course, comparing to Dunlap was nothing but a compliment. So this wasn't demeaning Frank Grant at all. It was just telling people who might not know about him that, hey, this guy's comparable to somebody that you do know. And so therefore it was a very high compliment. And I think Pop Lloyd always said, I wish I was as good as Wagner. And Wagner would say, I wish I was as good as Pop Lloyd. That type of thing. Although I'm not sure it's Pop Lloyd now that I think of it. I think it was more of a heavy hitter that was called the Black Wagner. Anyway, so Frank Grant, he's with the Marion Glass Blowers. There's a lot of players that are with the Marion Glass Blowers. And Dunlap, he didn't play either. That is very weird. So they're segregating even when I'm doing this. Grant Dad Johnson, he played. Oh, that's why. Look at that. He batted .305. Nice. And he had 23 stolen bases, Grant Johnson. So, and that should be Home Run Johnson. But we'll call him Dad. If they want to call him Dad, we'll call him Dad. Whatever. Actually, we'll call him Home Run now. He hit 5 home runs. So, according to this day and age, you can call him Home Run. Call Home Run Johnson. So there, he's got a new nickname. So Bill Monroe, Bud Fowler. Bud Fowler was not in my league, so I had to import him before I did this. I was like, where is Bud Fowler? Bud Fowler. Fowler. Oh my God. Hold on. Thank you. All right, so he was his original name is John Jackson, but he wanted to essentially say, hey, listen, Jackson, Johnson, Williams, those are all black names from the South. Those are all slave names. And so he said, I'm going to change my name to Fowler. The reason he's called Bud is that's what he called everybody. Hey, Bud, what's going on, Bud? Hey, Bud. And he was the son of a fugitive hop picker and a barber. His father escaped slavery. So consider that. This is how backward in history. This guy is the son of a slave. That's pretty amazing when you think about that. What we're playing here in 1901, when baseball really started to take hold of Americans' hearts and minds, and started becoming the national pastime. You have the son of a slave that was also playing it at the same time. Now, he began with an all-white professional team in 1872, and I'll show you that. Keokuk. So Keokuk, and you can see some of these guys. Darby O'Brien's there. That's a guy that I think we have as one of the GMs during this time. And yeah, there he is right in the background. Right before Cap Anson became a big pile of shit and didn't want to play anymore. So what Keokuk, he was released, and he played in a lot of very integrated leagues until it became like in the later 1890s. There was still like in 1898 and 1899 where some of these players last played in professional baseball, organized baseball, was this oil and gas league. So, and that was 1897, 1898. And that a league that was it was white and black teams. So it was black people playing with white people still. So it was still going on. It was just a very small independent league. And then finally, Cap Anson's little, we're not playing with black people, just took off. So 1987 Saber placed a memorial on his grave to memorize and honor his success as the first professional black ball player. And he had an unmarked grave because he died from poverty and illness, and so he really followed. Followed a lot of normal ball players as well. After their playing days, they usually died penniless. Even the white ball players did. And he was, hard worker, great smart ball player. We're bringing him back here. He's 43 years old, so he might only play like 1 year. But hell with it. I'm gonna let him play 1 year. Damn it. So that way, maybe when we break the color barrier, he'll be a pitching coach because he may not die in 1913. And he got interviewed with a local newspaper way back in 1885, where he had issues with reserve clause. Well, why wouldn't he? He's the son of a slave. And he said the contractual mechanism that allowed teams to hold on to players for their entire career, he stated that when a ball player signs a league contract, they can do anything with him under its provisions but hang him. So, very, very much against the reserve clause. All right, so that was Bud Fowler. And we did Frank Grant. Frank Grant. Did we talk about Frank Grant? He lived a quiet life after. He lived to be 71. He hit for the cycle a couple of times. And he was quite small. So Grant was about 5'7". He was a scatty little guy. Just like most second basemen during that time. A lot of the guys, Cupid Childs was a 5'5", and all this. You always put the little tiny guy, the tiny light guy on second base because they didn't take hard slides a lot. The shortstop did. So the shortstop was usually the more burly guy, the guy that's 5'10", 5'11", up to 6 feet, maybe 170 pounds. But the smaller, lighter guys would go to second base so they wouldn't get plowed over all the time and get hurt because not worth it to get your best players hurt. Other than that, let's look at the statistics. Let's see who we got. Oh, I'm still under here. Nope. What am I doing? What the heck am I doing? Western Association. Okay. So Western Association, there we go. We got Grant Johnson. He batted 305, good for 9th in the league. A couple older players. Jimmy Bannon, Foxy Grandpa. Pete Hill. He's going to be coming to prominence. He's a very young guy. He led the league in strikeouts. He's only 18 years old. But Pete Hill was a very good left fielder in those 1915 leagues, and later he was like the old man player manager for the 1920 Negro Leagues. I'm not looking at any other name. There's a couple other catchers. Let's look at catchers. If we combine it and look at catchers. Not qualified. There's going to be no qualified catchers. Henry Matthews. There's another one. Clarence Williams. And then let's look at combined and pitching leaders. We'll look at the pitching leaders, and yes, this guy. This guy was not a black ball player, technically. He was a Cuban. So he was a Cuban ball player, but he was dark-skinned and therefore was not allowed to play in Major League Baseball. Cubans who were light-skinned could play. Shows you the absolute asininery of that whole rule. But he is the man because he basically will win the pitching award. It looks like it. Yeah, he's got 4 shutouts. Was there any other ball player? Nope, I think he was the only one that really did anything. So, yeah, Royer. Now, Rosado. Oh, here's another one. Salvador Yo-Yo Rosado, another dark-skinned Cuban guy back during this time. And like I said, the Black Leagues would play with my mic. I'm going away from the mic. The black leagues, like the Cuban X Giants, would go down there, and that's why they're called the Cuban Giants, of course, is because they would go and they would play a ball down there in Cuba. All right, so we have that out of the way. Let's finish this thing up. The home screen. Let's play. Let's just finish today. Finish today. Ooh, Deegan. All right, Dummy Deegan. Just got called up. This is the first time that two deaf players were on the same team. Two pitchers, Dummy Deegan and Dummy Taylor for New York. And yeah, 2-1. Yeah, you might stick around. Who knows? Let's see. Case heads the freshman class. And how many things do we have? What is the news? Did it say? Oh, All-Star. There we go. All-Star has been announced. 255. Bill Bergens batting 211. Sam Crawford. And what is the schedule? Upcoming schedule. Standings. Let's see if we can calculate real quick. October 4th. Trying to count to see if I can get an easy count to 140. It looks like we have 6 more games to play. Let's go back to the home screen. Jules Han. Probably working. Look at that. Probably 22-17. Really trying to get. Nah, I don't think he will. Tom Hughes, Tannehill. I think Tom Hughes is. Yeah, Tom Hughes is definitely going to get the first pitching award. I was going to call it the Cy Young Award, but hey, don't do that. Bill Lang, 344. Ed Delahanty. Crawford, 19. Can he 20 home runs? That would be amazing if he can get 20 home runs. Hartzell, 54 stolen bases. Flick has 50. Lang, 48. And now I'm going, geez, man, maybe Flick should have made the All-Star team instead of Lang. I think Lang's kind of ticked off, and he's like, I'm gonna take that freaking batting title, and then you're gonna go Hendrick. Who? Why'd you elect him? Why didn't you give me Bill? Or actually, Bill Lang is in the freaking. I mean, Flick might do it. I don't know. American League. Lajoie, 416. He is on fire. He might get up there. Please give me 420. Please get. Not for that. Not for that reason, people. I'm not smoking the ganja. That'll happen when I'm on my deathbed, which might be 5 years from now. Let's see. So Cy Young, 228, 27 wins. Oh, come on, Cy. Come on, Cy. Get another win, Cy. Doc White. What is Doc White doing? Doc White was leading an ERA. Oh yeah, he slumped. He was leading an ERA for quite a while. Togi Pittiger. Togi, what are you doing there? Charles. 1901. 15-9. Man, darn it, I could have put him. I could have made him the Boston guy. Because Hamilton does not deserve it. All right. Finished today. Power rankings are still up. Oh, it's right there, too. Regular season ends tomorrow. All right. There it is. And damn it, Cy Young did not get 28 wins. I was hoping he'd get 28 wins. Oh, well. What are you going to do? All right. So, Baltimore Orioles. Why aren't they eliminated? They should be eliminated. What did I? I'm probably going to. I probably screwed something up. I don't like this. I probably screwed something up. Okay. The All-Star game. Let's see what the All-Star game is. Lang gets the batting crown, 343. Oh, with Hendricks, so he probably just got a little bit right over it. Cy Young gets the triple crown. Yeah. 27 wins, 2.28, 154 strikeouts. Lajoie, 416. Oh, my God. 230 hits, 46 doubles, 17 home runs. He'll never get that close again. Playoffs begin. And, yeah, Tom Hughes. Even if he got 22 wins, this is just dominance. Tom Hughes. American League. Ed High. Yeah, Ed High. Where the hell is Ed High? Nowhere. You're a starting pitcher though, buddy. Don't forget it. Let's look at the scores. Oh, here we go. Oh, we can do a quick play. See if we can do a quick play here. National League, 4-3. Player of the game, Tom Hughes, of course. Oh, it says highlights. Can I do highlights? Or is it going to crash my game? All right, let's see. Oh, dive. There's a highlight. There's that. And then where are we going? Oh, awesome. I do like this highlight part. I'll tell you that. Nice. Heydrich shows that he deserved that, even though he did lose the batting title. Ooh, what happened? Oh, Jones does. He made the catch. A nice diving catch there. Is that going to be out? No. No, it won't. Bobby Wallace gets a triple. Jack Powell, holy crap. Please, please hit a home run. That is a home run. No, he stops at third. Oh, come on. I was hoping for an inside the park home run. Yeah, and of course he smacks it down the line. He gets a double. They're coming back. Bergen. Look at that. He is an all-star. He puts the National League up for good. I think that's it. And Barrett does what he does best 100 times this year. Walks. Oh, and then a nice double play. Nice. Davis to Daly to the McFarland. Lajoie. Wow, Hughes strikes him out. Yeah, Bill Burgeon. The catcher who just got in there due to his defense, hitting 211, is the guy that hits the game-winning RBI. That you can't paint that any better. So Tommy Leach goes, and they start a rally. Well, no, they don't need a rally. They're the ones leading. That's a keister. It goes through. And then one. Oh, couldn't get it. Couldn't get it. Ooh, high. Couldn't get it to go. Just ran out of gas in center field. Please say that's a diving catch. Oh, no. Delahanty just, boom, grabs it. Wonderful. Can't believe it. That is funny. So the very first All-Star game is, and he doesn't even get it. 2 for 4 RBI, 2 for there. Yeah, he doesn't even get it. That sucks. That sucks. I mean, still, yeah, he got the save. He went 5 innings. What the hell? See, this is very messed up. This is very messed up because it's going by baseball nowadays again. So it doesn't know how to deal with just having 5 pitchers on the All-Star squad. But Bergen, yeah, 1 for 2. What an RBI. That is nice. Very, very nice. Okay. Finish today, and here we go. Cy Young versus Jesse Tannehill. Coming up. So let's see if we'll do a quick play here. Ooh, Tannehill beats Cy Young. Tannehill, 9 innings pitched, 11 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. Cy Young, yeah, he had 2 earned runs and 5 strikeouts. Chief Zimmer, the old man, 3 for 4. Very nice. Old Ferris, who had such a hot temper. He really wanted to win. In fact, I think, let me say, desire to win. This guy should be 192. His desire to win should be astronomical because he got into a bad mood when he could not win. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Boston Americans. Pitching. Of course, we want to do 3. And then Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will go 4. But see the home screen. Playoff coverage. Oh, this is nice. Okay. So if I play here, finish today. There we go. 5 to 4. Good God. Who is? Oh, look at Honest Wagner. You know, Honest Wagner didn't get anything. Didn't really excel during the regular season, but in the playoffs. Look at this against Boston. 2 for 4, 2 for 3. You guys got to get it together. You guys got to get it together, or else you're going to blow it. There we go, 11 to 6. Finally, Chick Stahl and Jimmy Collins each hit a home run. Tommy Dowd does pretty well. Chick Stahl showing that he's got some skills. Buck Freeman, like I told you before, is my home run champ. The other guys, they played in a Lakeshore Park that was not even 200 feet down the line. And this man, in real life, and in this scenario, hit 25 home runs in 1899 in Washington Park, which was pretty huge. And this guy was known for hitting blast. there was one time he hit like center mass of the bleachers out in center field. That was 500 feet with a dead ball, like a ball that's black with tar and spit and tobacco juice. So yeah, umpire Tim Murnane called Freeman the batting wonder of the age, and the Washington Post, which was still back then, said modern baseball has never produced his like. Because this guy, he led with double-digit home runs in the beginning of the dead ball era. Now there's some people who say, "Oh, he almost. What if the dead ball didn't exist and everything?" That's nonsense. You can't say that, because the dead ball would always exist. But he was going to go into the coal mines, but he liked baseball better, and he got sage advice from, remember this, the first black ball player, Bud Fowler. Freeman was a pitcher first, and he got his release because in 5 games he walked 33 batters. So Bud Fowler, who he played with a couple of years back, and Bud Fowler saw the 16-year-old Freeman hit 2 home runs in a Sandlot game. Bud Freeman told him, and Buck Freeman said, "I never gave batting a thought until Fowler tipped me off. You have pretty good control of the ball for a left-handed pitcher, kid. But batting is your hold. Keep on practicing with the stick. It'll get you more money." So Bud Fowler was a wise guy. So that's exactly what he did. So at the conclusion of 1898 Eastern League, right? So Toronto manager Arthur Irwin, who is now the GM of Baltimore in my league, he took over the skipper in 1899 of the Washington Senators. And he took 5 of his best players with him, including Freeman. And he said, "You have a month to make good, or you're getting sent back to the minors." So, of course, what does Buck Freeman do? He drives the ball to the right field bleachers about 440 feet for his first major league home run. He also hit it hard 6 times, like hard. They went up against the wall and had to catch these balls. His batting style, unlike other guys who would kind of crouch and kind of chop at the ball, he swung from the heels, and he swung for the fences. And he said it was something like the heavyweight champion at the time. I forgot who it was. I think his name was Fitzsimmons. And back then, you didn't have gloves in boxing. And he said it was just like Fitzsimmons. Because Fitzsimmons was like a brawler. He would just punch. He would drive his fist into him. And so he said he's just like that. He's just like the heavyweight champion, Fitzsimmons. And then he became the talk of baseball because he clouded 25 home runs in his first full major league season. He also slugged 25 triples, scored 107, drove in 122, and even stole 21 bases. And that's one of the greatest rookie seasons of baseball history. Reds manager Buck Ewing, who was usually called one of the best catchers of all time, he says Buck Freeman's one of the best batsmen that ever came into the league. And John McGraw wanted him, of course, and said he's the best developer of heart disease among pitchers, which is an apt analogy, if not a colorful metaphor for him being like high cholesterol, which I don't even think they knew back then about cholesterol. So what happened? Why did Buck Freeman have this power and everything? Well, first let's say they contracted Washington, so they sold them all off, and he went to Boston, which was the Bean Eaters, because there was no Boston Americans during that time. So he went with Freeman, Deneen, Shadeberry. I think they paid about $10,000 for all of them. So he hit a 301, but he didn't get along with Frank Seeley, because Frank Seeley hated power hitting. He wanted Freeman to hit like everybody else, and isn't this always the way where they just say, just do it this way, it's my way? Guy hit 25 home runs. You're going to tell him to do it something different? Get out of here. You can't do that. Seeley said his style of play is not a winner. When Freeman is dangerous, the pitchers keep the ball away from him. His hitting counts for little. He's a poor fielder, thrower, and base runner, which is all true. Buck Freeman was all those things. In fact, Buck Freeman's playing first base, and he was so bad at first base that they threw him in right field because he could run to a ball better than he could catch it or throw it. And back then, first baseman actually had to throw the ball, as you could see from our last episode, where a first baseman had like 90 double plays, right? So Buck Freeman couldn't do any of that stuff. So they just threw him in right field and said, just catch it, or if you can't catch it, throw it into second base. Field, he was pretty average, if not above average, in right field. First base went this year. I believe, I don't know. Oh yeah, they do. Who do they get next year? The Americans will get somebody next year at first base, and then Buck Freeman will go to right field. I cannot remember. I think it's Candy LaChance, actually. I think it's the Cleveland first baseman who did a hell of a job, but just missed being an all-star this year. So a lot of ball players back then, but Freeman wasn't like that. He would like to work out and weight training. Like Ty Cobb would say, a successful ball player never hardens his muscles. He was basically the forerunner of the power hitting workout, and he'd just go to the gym. He'd walk 12 miles a day. He'd weightlift. He'd do the parallel bars. He'd box and do other strenuous activities. What work I have done as a batsman, I owe in favor to large measure to my exercise in the gymnasium, Freeman has stated, which develop the muscles that come into play when I hit the ball. So now, either one of them are not right or wrong. For Buck Freeman and his power hitting, it worked. As you can see right here, he led the league in RBIs this year for Boston, and he got him into the World Series. But for Ty Cobb, nope. Weight training was not an option because Ty Cobb is right as well, where you see a lot of ball players today, they work out way too hard or for not their particular body type, and they pull things. Ken Griffey Jr. is one of them. Of course, Ken Griffey Jr. might have taken steroids, which has the side effect of blowing out your hamstrings, which happened to him quite often. But also with Buck Freeman, when you live by the sword, you die by the sword. In 1905, he was kind of finished. He'd go down to 240, and then he wouldn't be among the league leaders in home runs for the first time since 1898. And he ended his impressive streak of playing 541 consecutive games and 5,431 consecutive innings, which was a record until Cal Ripken broke that one in 1985. That's another little record that nobody knew about, but yep, that's another one Cal Ripken beat, and something that Lou Gehrig did not beat. Just keep that in mind. So that whole game played streak, Lou Gehrig took a lot of time off, like inside. Lou Gehrig would sometimes start a game when that streak became a thing, with the Iron Man Lou Gehrig type of stuff. He'd play for one at bat and then he'd get replaced in the lineup. Something Cal Ripken did not do. As for his nickname, nickname Buck. They said someday, this is Baseball Magazine 1911, it goes, someday, but not in our generation, it will be possible for a man named Freeman to escape being called Buck. And so, and there was something in 1907, there were 3 Freemans on the Minneapolis Millers. And there were Buck 1, there were Buck 2, and Buck 3. Buck Tooth, Buck Nutty. So that's something. And there was a player there. He's the reason that everybody was named Buck afterwards. So that's it. So, and then his injury, As you can tell, he got injured. He didn't last too long. And they stated he had a brief stint in the Negro Leagues where he was an umpire, but they said it might have been another Freeman that, of course, was nicknamed Buck. But that's not unlike Freeman's nature. I could very well see Buck Freeman being since he was an active minor league ump after his playing days, I could definitely see him doing the same thing. And again, I told you, a lot of ball players during this time, they were not racist. They wanted segregation to end, and I could just see him doing that. So Buck Freeman was lived to age 77, and his only big thing was he liked cockfighting, not the derogatory stuff. Not derogatory stuff, but real cockfighting. And so he got busted one time and arrested and fined for cockfighting. And he said, "I don't care. I'd walk 20 miles to watch a good cockfight." All right, so that's Buck Freeman. Only hitting 308, hasn't smacked a home run yet. Boston's going to need him to start hitting home runs here. A lot of errors. So look, 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Oh, George Merritt is playing right field. Hold on. Nope, Lefty Davis is still shoot. Ed Doheny. No, we'll put Ed. Oh, not allowed. Okay, all right. Okay. So we got Ed Doheny, just like in real life, like in the 1903, except this time Ed Doheny didn't go mental and go into an asylum, which really did happen with Ed Doheny. This time he was just injured and he didn't come back in time. What about Boston? Nope, Boston's fine. All right, let's see. Playoff coverage. It is 2-1 in favor of Pittsburgh. And here we go, Cy Young now. 9-2. Who's the man of the hour? Buck Freeman. Ugh. You got an error, buddy. Looks like Hemphill and Ferris. Good going. Cy Young helped himself out, got an RBI. Honest Wagner, still hitting 500, and his team's doing well. It's the manager, Fred Clark. He's the one that's kind of stumbling. And, of course, they have George Merritt in right field, who is actually a pitcher. As you can see, he's got like half a star. But he's still hitting 267 with 2 RBI, so I'm not going to take him out. Not at all. But if they had Lefty Davis in here, it might be a whole different story. Cy Young pitches a hell of a game, so it's 2-2. The first World Series. Ooh, the Pirates defeat the Americans 11-2. That's got to be something. That is something. George Winter, for the second time, has a horrible game. I think we might have to take him out just in case. Jimmy Collins did not take questions after the game, telling assembled reporters, well, like 5 beat writers, he would not hold a press conference. He would hold a press conference if and when we win the World Series. Exposition Park, Ted Lewis and Jack Chesebro. All right. But here we're going to, I think for the pitching staff, put Win Kellum in there. Win Kellum won 20 games. Middle relief. Emergency, Cy Young's the stopper. This guy's going to be a lefty specialist. This guy's going to be long relief. What about Pittsburgh? They're all set up. Ed Poole's good. All right, come on. Give us 7 games in the very first World Series. You can do it. And that's it. Yep, that's it. Darn it. Game 6. 4-2. Pittsburgh wins the World Series. Real life does not come of age here. Well, first of all, we had the World Series 2 years earlier than it should have been. But second of all, Fred Clark. We won the World Series. Good going, Fred Clark, despite you hitting 222, buddy. Oh, he had 6 RBI, though, so yeah, okay, never mind. And then Honest Wagner is the man. He wanted this so bad. But again, they had 5 errors, 3 errors here. Chief Sakalesis got some playing time in the World Series. That's a shame. That was not a bad game by Ted Lewis, but when you only have Cy Young, really, and George Winter just blew everything away, and I mean, what are you going to do? I think what I have to do now here, though, is so managers don't get fired. Oh, use complete code system. So I got to uncheck that before I go any further. See if it loads the database. Importing players. Okay. Are they free agents? Yes, they are. They're all free agents. That works for me. Like it, like it, like it. Oh, there he is. Darn it. Andrew Rube Foster did show up. And I... Hold on. Can't believe that. See, I got Rube Foster here. Columbus Senators. All right, so I'm going to... Yeah. So I'm going to delete him, and we do have Rube Foster. So that is good. I like it. I like it. Who else? Johnny Evers is coming into play. Moonlight Graham. Feel the dreams. Ball player Hastings. Okay, we're going to delete that. I don't like all the ball players here. Cowboy Jones, Killian. I'm wondering if I could catch anybody else's name. Moose McCormick, he was one of the first pinch hitter type guys. Played horrible defense, but he became a pitch hitter. Ball player Metcalf. Rid of him. Cannonball Miller, I believe that's a Negro League. I believe that's a Negro League player. Yeah, Joe Miller, Cannonball Joe Miller. I think so. So we got another one. Philip Nadeau. Oh, this guy is one of the more... I thought I saw him before. Yep, he is here. 29, age 25. Oh boy. This is the problem with this database for some reason. .58, 175, born in 1872. Hold on. 1872. 1876. Yeah, this guy is a liar. Delete him. All right, so this guy, Phil Nadeau, he was a long time minor league ball player. He's probably one of the best one of the good minor league ball players who never got to get into the major leagues. So one of those guys. He started off in the PCL, and he started off in Binghamton, just like he's starting off now with the Barons. But he went into Portland to the PCL, and that started up in 1903. And we will start the PCL here in 1903. Then he went to the Southern League, New Orleans, Memphis, Central League, Fort Wayne, and then he went up to the Washington League. I don't know, just to be near family, I believe. He's from Montreal, but he, let's see, Jack J. O'Connor, Rowdy Jack. What happened to Jack O'Connor? Great. Okay, so this is gonna be not a good thing. All right, so we got 1901 on the books. This is a lot to take in, and I am going to have to go through every single one of these guys and make sure. Oh, this guy. Nope, this is the right guy, and make sure I don't have a hell of a lot of duplicates. And I guarantee, if I have duplicates, that means I have people missing that should not be missing. Hook Swilts. Oh, he's another one. Sal White. And there it is, Sal White. Just want to make sure he's the same guy. June 12th, 1868. Bel Air, Ohio, yeah. And they bring him in for Bel Air, Texas, which is not. All right. And now let's see if we got anybody here. Rosters and transactions. We have anybody that showed up, say, in the minor leagues? I don't think we would. Cleveland, Eddie Joss is there. I think they all came earlier, but it is nice to know that they all kind of drop into the free agent pool instead of not coming in at all. I am very, very happy about that. So all we have to do is really work at that, and I just have to make sure that I get all these players on the right team and kill any duplicates, and we should be good. All right. Oh, Gabby Kravitz, another home run hero, about to hit the field. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Get off on my baseball lawn. Pittsburgh Pirates. Bull Durham. Yes, that Bull Durham. And Pittsburgh Pirates are now the Major League. Oh, I do like that it does pull in with their real name as their if they just go by their nickname. I do like that. Aloysius. My mom used to call me Aloysius. Huh. Why? I don't know. Anyways, next it'll be 1902, and we'll have a whole new squad, and it'll be wonderful. Thank you for joining me.